Good evening, my YouTube family. It is Wednesday, February the 24th. When I tell you I'm probably the most consistent person I know, I'm the most consistent person I know. I apologize for being just a minute or so late this evening, but I'm telling you, there was a lot of bills. There was a lot of work today to be done. Keeping up with Congress, y'all, is work. W-O-R-K, work. I am Tamara Johnson Shealy. Please like, please subscribe, please hit the notification button, please share this broadcast, y'all. I come to you Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 7 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. And we are keeping up with Congress, y'all, where we are holding them accountable. We're looking for opportunities in legislation. Where is the money, y'all? Who is it going to? How do we get some of it? We are keeping up with Congress. And as you know, this is brought to you by Withhold the Vote. No more do we go to the polls and show up and get this thing away for free. The pimp game is over. We do not show up to the polls and give this thing away for free. No more. That's done. We will withhold the vote. We're holding our candidates and our elected officials accountable, and we are harnessing our political power. If you haven't gone to the website, please do. Please join us. Please support us. Today is Wednesday. You know, on Wednesday evenings, we have our meetup for those that are involved and engaged with Withhold the Vote. We talk strategy on Wednesdays. So join us if you haven't already tonight. Right after this broadcast, that is what we'll be doing. So let me not hold us up. Let's get this party started. You know, I always like to bring you some reparations information, legislation, anything going on in reparations news. So Oak Park, which is out of Chicago, the Illinois area, the Oak Park Board to pursue a proclamation apologizing for past harms. The trustees, y'all, are divided on reparations proposals. It says, though a majority of Oak Park trustees support a proclamation to apologize for the village's past role and problematic acts towards its Black residents, there are differing opinions on the shape of and who should pay for any reparations. Y'all, they're struggling. Walk the Walk is an organization that proposed a resolution that would have the village of Oak Park formally apologizing for the government's role in the stifling of Black wealth in Oak Park, while also apologizing for the government's enforcement of segregation and its accompanying discriminatory practices. The proclamation calls on the village to also establish a reparations fund with taxes generated from the sale of recreational marijuana in Oak Park, in which 100% of new marijuana taxes up to $10 million per year will be earmarked for the fund. The group also proposes using 40% of the village's affordable housing fund for the new reparations fund. Y'all, they are fighting for this money. Like, you know, like they didn't incarcerate us, you know, forever with marijuana. This money is ours. They owe us more than that. The use of marijuana tax dollars to help create a reparations fund is an approach similar to what the city of Evanston created in late 2020. So they are fighting over in Oak Park to get them to apologize and to give up that marijuana money, right? Keep fighting, y'all. Keep fighting. The Oak Park in the Chicagoland area. Oh, I think we got some Chicago. Hey, Cynthia's in the house. Hey, Cynthia. Hey, sis. Hey, Dawn. Thank you for joining me this evening. Cynthia says that Oak Park is right next door. Yes. And Oak Park is known for that. Keep fighting, y'all. Keep fighting. Let us know what we can do here. Let us know what we can do here. The battle is not over. So here's another reparations article. Reparations will reinforce victimhood, not heal it. I had to hear what this man had to say, y'all. You ain't gonna like it much, but let's kind of dive in. He goes in to talk about the debate over reparations is a live one. So it's worth also taking some time to consider the arguments against, here he goes, against such payments. It's good to hear how the other side thinks, right? He goes on to talk about a book by Jason Riley, expanded. Okay, Jason Riley expanded on this theme in his 2014 book, Please Stop Helping Us, How Liberals Make It Harder for Blacks to Succeed. Wrote Riley, efforts to help Blacks, I hate that word Blacks, y'all, with that S, help Blacks have had more pernicious and lasting effects on Black attitudes and habits in either slavery or segregation. Social welfare programs that were initiated or greatly expanded during the 1960s resulted in the government effectively displacing Black fathers as breadwinners and made work less attractive. Blacks. Ugh. Liberalism has also succeeded tragically in convincing Blacks to see themselves first and foremost as victims. Today, there is no greater impediment to Black advancement than the self-pitying mindset that permeates Black culture. Ooh. The biggest risk of reparations, whether to compensate for slavery or for some recent policy, is the danger that the payments would reinforce victimhood rather than repair it. It's good to know how they think. I figured I'd bring that to you. I don't know who is this. I didn't even I just knew it was somebody. It doesn't say. Okay, Our Stahl is author of JFK Conservative and Samuel Adams Alive. Okay, whoever he is, we still gonna keep fighting for reparations. So I wanted to bring you some news, everybody, in the state of Georgia right here, y'all. HB 541. I am super excited. I am psyched because this is legislation that does not say reparations, but if you keep reading, it does. Equity and Fairness Commission Act is monumental legislation here in Georgia. And Georgia legislators have the opportunity to move the great state of Georgia in a historically right direction. Our first step is making this happen is to purchase the digital platform to support our advocacy efforts. Therefore, we need to raise the initial $5,000 to get started. So this is a website that we've set up to get us going, donate. Let's push Georgia in the right direction, y'all, making sure that they, address the descendants of chattel slavery. So that is step one. I have the video where I interviewed Dr. Darity and where we had our Equity and Fairness, the sponsor, who is Representative Roger Bruce. We had him on the broadcast this past Saturday on the 20th. So yeah, we are up and running. This is some great legislation, and we're gonna push Georgia to address slavery and the impact that it had right here in this state. So we're on it, doggone it. Plus, there's some other stuff going on behind the scenes that we will talk about in the coming weeks. So keep listening out, y'all. This is good. This is good. You know, I like to bring you some business news as well. San Francisco, Black business. San Francisco announces $2.5 million to expand loan program benefiting Black-owned businesses. So if you know anybody over on the West Coast, let them know that San Francisco is about to pour some money in. Let's make sure we take advantage of it. So San Francisco Mayor London Breed on Monday announced a $2.5 million investment in the city's African-American Small Business Revolving Loan Fund, expanding the fund to $6.3 million. Anybody on the West Coast, y'all spread the word. Get some of this money. It aims to help Black-owned and Black-serving businesses that have been disproportionately affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Here's where it gets a little sticky. Black servicing businesses. That could be anybody but Black people. So y'all make sure y'all are in the front of the line. Affected by COVID-19 pandemic, offering zero interest loans of up to $50,000 for eligible businesses. Please, y'all, spread the word. This is San Francisco. Make sure that our community knows that there's some money's coming down the pipe. All right, let's dive into these bills, y'all. Senate Bill 226, we got a lot of learning tonight. I had a lot of research here, so we're gonna keep it moving. We got about 18 minutes. Let's see if we can get it all in. Senate Bill 226 is a bill to protect journalists and other members of the press from gross violations of internationally recognized human rights. Amy Klobuchar, y'all, Democrat out of Minnesota. So I looked it up. What does she mean by gross violations of internationally recognized human rights? That includes torture, cruel, inhumane, or degrading treatment or punishment, prolonged detention without charges and trial, and other flagrant denial of the right to life, liberty, or the security of persons. So that is Amy Klobuchar, Senate Bill 226, y'all. Senate Bill 227 is a bill to amend the Farm Security and Rural Investment Act of 2002 to provide grants for deployment of renewable fuel infrastructure, to finalize proposed rules relating to requirements for E15 fuel dispenser labeling and underground storage tank compatibility. That was a lot, but what I did look up was the Farm Security and Rural Investment Act. We got to at least know what these acts are. These are bills, these are proposals, but we have to know what kind of foundational legislation has already been introduced. So that's what this teaching is about. We need to have this is a learning curve, because as we get more and more engaged in Congress, we need to know what these acts are. We need to be familiar with who these legislators are. We might not understand what they're doing, but we can have an idea. So Senate Bill 227, I found what the Farm Security and Rural Investment Act was, also known as the 2002 Farm Bill. A lot of you have heard of the Farm Bill. It includes 10 titles addressing a great variety of issues related to agriculture, ecology, energy, trade, and nutrition. The act directs approximately $6.5 billion of funding toward agricultural subsidies each year. These subsidies have a dramatic effect on the production of grains, oilseeds, and upland cotton. So this is the Farm Bill. So now that like I said, we're learning this vocabulary, we're learning these acts, we're learning how, these people are moving around Congress. We are not going to be, played. We ain't going to continue to be played. That's why we're keeping up with Congress, y'all. That's Senate Bill 227. Senate Bill 228 is a bill to promote antitrust enforcement and protect competition through adjusting pre-merger filing fees and increasing antitrust enforcement resources. Amy Klobuchar again, Democrat, Minnesota. We all know who she is. She's a busy woman, I can tell you that. She's had a lot of bills that she's introduced. Senate Bill 228. I will tell you, she's sitting there twiddling her thumb. She takes the lead. She might not have no co-sponsors. Look at this. It doesn't have I don't think it has one co-sponsor. One. She still introduced her legislation. That says a lot about her. She's not waiting for them. She's going to go out and make it happen. So I can appreciate that, Amy Klobuchar. So the antitrust laws, for those that, like I said, we're learning this language. We're learning to understand this. Congress passed the first antitrust law, the Sherman Act. So now we know when we hear the Sherman Act or antitrust laws, we'll know it's the same thing. In 1890, as a comprehensive charter of economic liberty aimed at preserving free and unfettered competition as the rule of trade. In 1914, Congress passed 2 additional antitrust laws, the Federal Trade Commission Act, which created the FTC, which we've heard of, and the Clayton Act. The antitrust laws prescribe unlawful mergers and business practices in general terms, leaving courts to decide which ones are illegal based on the facts of each case. Y'all, we hear a little ambulance coming. Yeah, okay, we're good. Courts have applied the antitrust laws to changing markets from a time of horse and buggies to the present digital age. Yet for over 100 years, the antitrust laws have had the same basic objective: to protect the process of competition for the benefit of consumers, making sure there are strong incentives for businesses to operate efficiently, keep prices down, and keep quality up. So now we know what the antitrust laws are, everybody. The Sherman Act, antitrust laws, things that we have to start remembering as we keeping up with Congress and keeping our eyes on these legislators. And hopefully some of us are thinking about running. A lot of us are young enough. We're at that middle age generation. We're not 20s, 30s. but we're not 60, 70. So those of us that are floating between our 40s and 50s, we got time to really consider being in this game for a long time and getting in this game and running for office. So like I said, this is an opportunity for us to learn and keep up with Congress. That's Senate Bill 228. Senate Bill 229 is a bill to amend the Federal Deposit Insurance Act to permit the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation to terminate the insured status of a depository institution that refuses to provide services to certain federal contractors. Marco Rubio, this sounds like a favor. Who sent Marco to do this? This is are you getting back at somebody? I don't know, Marco. This one sounds a little weird to me, but the FDIC, y'all, I actually work for the FDIC. I've had a job at one point. I've been an entrepreneur now for 25 years. I actually kind of look back on my life just recently. I've been an entrepreneur for 25 years, but I did have a job 25 years ago. and I worked for the FDIC. I actually did, I was an independent, I was a contractor for them. And it was during that time when the savings and loans had failed, and they were trying to resolve these banks and get everything squared away. And I was a contractor for them back in the early 90s. So this is Senate Bill 229. So just so you know what the FDIC is independent U.S. government corporation created under authority of the Banking Act of 1993, also known as Glass-Steagall Act. We've heard Glass-Steagall. You hear Elizabeth Warren talking about that all the time, with the responsibility to insure bank deposits in eligible banks against loss in the event of a bank failure, and to regulate certain banking. So your funds at the bank is usually, it is insured by the FDIC. You always see that little plate on the outside of the banks. FDIC, y'all. That's Senate Bill 229. Senate Bill 230 is a bill to amend the title, 18 and 19 of the Social Security Act to codify certain infection control and emergency preparedness regulations, to prohibit a reduction in the frequency of surveys of skilled nursing facilities and nursing facilities. Skilled nursing facilities and nursing facilities. I guess they're non-skilled nursing facilities. I don't know. Why would you have that twice? And to prohibit the waiver of certain reporting requirements. This is Senator Menendez, Robert Menendez, Democrat out of New Jersey. So I looked up the Social Security Act because I wasn't sure why the nursing facilities, why the Social Security Act. So let's kind of go back here. The Social Security Act established a system of old age benefits for workers, benefits for victims of industrial accidents, unemployment insurance, aid for dependent mothers and children, the blind, and the physically handicapped. So I wasn't sure why, the Social Security Act is, the bill to amend the Social Security Act to codify certain infection control. This is where I would ask a lot of questions. I told you, I would be in Congress. They'd be like, make her stop. They would have to answer all my questions. Filibuster it is. Senate Bill 231, a bill to direct the administrator of the Federal Emergency Management Agency, that's FEMA, y'all, to develop guidance for firefighters and other emergency response personnel on best practices to protect them from exposure to PFAS and to limit and prevent the release of PFAS into the environment. I didn't know what PFAS was. See, I'm learning too. So I looked it up. Polyfluoroalkyl substance. Y'all don't ask me to say that again. A group of man-made chemicals that include PFOA, PFAS, Gen X, and many other chemicals. PFAS has been manufactured and used in a variety of industries around the globe, including in the United States since the 1940s. So the animal studies have found that PFAS can cause damage to the liver and the immune system. PFAS also cause birth defects, delayed development, and newborn deaths in lab animals. So this is a very dangerous substance and chemical. So HR 231, Senator Peters, Democrat out of Michigan. Senate Bill 231. Senate Bill 232 is a bill to amend the Balanced Budget and Emergency Deficit Control Act of 1985 to establish a discretionary spending limit for infrastructure spending, Rand Paul, he don't want, he trying to hold on. Let's see. Okay, so 1985, the Balanced Budget and Emergency Deficit Control Act, better known as the Graham-Rudman Holdings, created a series of deficit targets meant to balance the federal budget by 1991. Look, that hadn't happened. If these targets were not met, a series of across-the-board spending cuts, sequestrations, and I didn't say that right, would automatically ensue. So that's the 1985 Balanced Budget and Emergency Deficit Control Act. Senator Rand Paul, Republican, out of Kentucky, established a discretionary spending limit. Okay, yeah, we're gonna keep our eyes on you, Rand Paul. Senate Bill 233 is a bill to designate the Rock Spring Station of the U.S. Border Patrol, located on West Main Street in Rock Spring, Texas, as the Donna M. Doss Border Patrol Station. Senator Cornyn, Republican, out of Texas, y'all. You know, I just wonder why it takes, I guess because this is federal property, that it takes a federal bill to actually rename it. Senate Bill 233. It shows you that everything is legislated, right? That's why we got to get in this game, and we got to know this game. We got to play this game, because this game has been playing us. Senate Bill 234 is a bill to amend the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 to provide an income tax credit for elder care expenses. Okay, Amy Klobuchar, tax credit for elder care expenses. Senate Bill 235 is a bill to amend the Domestic Volunteer Service Act of 1973 to establish an online service platform for volunteers in the National Senior Service Corps. Y'all, I had never heard of the National Senior Service Corps. Not a Peace Corps, but I never heard of this. So I looked this up, and it was quite interesting. The domestic, so it goes back to say the Domestic Volunteer Service Act of 1973. Like I said, we just need to know the language. We need to know the landscape. We need to know how to play the game. So the Domestic Volunteer Service Act of 1973, VISTA, arose in 1963 when President John F. Kennedy expressed the desire to create a domestic volunteer program modeled after the Peace Corps, which was created in 1961. In 1964, President Lyndon B. Johnson granted Kennedy's wish when he signed the Economic Opportunity Act of 1964, an act that created the Volunteers in Service to America. Congress funded VISTA under the belief that it had solved the biggest problem of the nation with the help of citizen volunteers, and that by providing the people of impoverished communities with volunteers from across the country, it would help empower the poor to raise their standards of living. Interesting approach, but okay. In 1973, Congress merged VISTA with the Peace Corps under a new federal action agency, which would run all domestic volunteer programs, depending on the type of service the individual supplied. Terms of service ran from as little as a summer to as long as 5 years. Congress established the Domestic Volunteer Service Act of 1973. Y'all, I was 1 year old. In part to provide funding and regulations for the operations of VISTA. So that's the history of that Domestic Service Volunteer Act. And this Senior Service Corps is under the America Corps, where seniors, every year they match over 200,000 AmeriCorps senior volunteers with service opportunities offered by our partner organization. So this is where seniors are volunteering through AmeriCorps. This is where monies, y'all, just follow the money. Everybody getting paid. Everybody gets paid. We don't know the game. Keeping up with Congress, y'all. And I'm not saying this is bad. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that we have to be mindful that this is the game. The monies are not trickling our way because we don't know the rules. We don't know the game. Senate Bill 235. Senate Bill 236, a bill to improve activities for the gathering of data on and for the tracking of new variants of COVID-19. Senator Baldwin, Democrat, out of Wisconsin. As these new variants, There's going to be opportunities. There should be jobs and some training. Make sure we in line. Senate Bill 236. Nothing needs to get past us moving forward. Senate Bill 237 is a bill to provide funds through the social service block grant program for diaper assistance. If we know anybody that needs diapers, look, there's going to be some monies. Senator Murphy is working to bring some diaper assistance. Democrat out of Connecticut. This is monies we might not even know about, but that's why we keep up with Congress. So we will know. Senate Bill 237. Senate Bill 238 is a bill to establish name, image, likeness, and athletic reputation rights for college athletes. So I don't know a whole lot about college sports, so I'm assuming that the schools own these rights right now, like the athletes don't have it. And I'm assuming that this is a bill to establish the name, image, and likeness of an athletic reputation's rights. It's giving it back to the athlete themselves. Y'all will correct me, somebody that's interested in sports and watching this. Senator Murphy, again, Democrat out of Connecticut. Senate Bill 238. We're going to make it up to 240, y'all. We're going to couple more. Senate Bill 239 is a bill to permanently enact certain Appropriations Act restrictions on the use of funds for abortions, y'all. Remember, I told you abortions is at the top of the list. I mean, we've seen a lot of these. Excuse me, and involuntary sterilization. Senator James Risk, Republican out of Indiana. Senate Bill 240 is a bill to support children with disabilities during the COVID-19 pandemic. Children with disabilities, is this extra monies? What kind of support? A bill to support children with disabilities during the COVID. What kind of monies, and how does it, who's this money going to? How is it going to be distributed, y'all? This is where we pay attention and we keep up with Congress, y'all. We are at the half hour. I'm gonna stop here for tonight. I will pick up with Senate Bill 241, but let me bring this in. I am Tamara Johnson Shealy. Please like, please subscribe, please spread the word. We have work to do. And this is the money is going to everybody but us, right? Everybody but the people that it needs to go to. So paying attention, keeping up with Congress is what we do. Thank you for joining me tonight. Please share, please spread the word. We have our meeting tonight every Wednesday. Those that have joined and who are supporting Withhold the Vote, we have our meetings every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. So I'm going to hop off and go over and start the meeting on the other side. I'm loving this digital world that we live in. I can go from here to there in no time, but I'll see you tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern. Please, again, spread the word, hit the Cash App, send us a little something, y'all. We are diligent and we are serious, y'all. I want to thank you for joining me tonight. I'll put your comments on the screen as we head out. Thank you, everybody.